Before you choose a new finishing move or change the one you've already got, you need to battle test it. And that's next on Till We Make It. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. If you are passionate about pro wrestling and you're never done learning all about it, then you have landed in the exact right place, my friend. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe right now. This video is all about battle testing your finishing move. And before we dive in, I want to share with you my goal for this year. This year, I want to grow my patron base up to 100. Yeah, I'm looking for 100 unique patrons because it is only through the support of the Patreon platform that I am able to continue making these videos for you week in and week out. So if you've ever learned something from Till We Make It, if you find value in what I'm producing here every single week, then I need your support. Join us. Follow the link that's down below or the one that will appear on screen at the end of today's video and look at the different tiers there. I'm sure one of them will be a good fit for you. We would love to have you join our community over on Patreon. And a huge thanks to all of the patrons who have been with me since the very beginning. All of this content would not exist without their ongoing support. And this year, I need you. Okay. So in this video, I want to fine-tune some of the work I covered in a much earlier video about finishing moves. If you haven't seen that one, it's pretty comprehensive. I'll link you to that at the end of today's video. Nevertheless, what I want to talk about is the how and the what of battle testing your finishing move. Okay, you've chosen a great new finishing move for yourself. Maybe it is an impact move, or perhaps you've chosen a submission hold as your new finisher. Whatever it is that you've picked, we're going to battle test it in the same way, using my rather unscientific method. But I will explain the values and the virtues of it to you as we go. So let's start by talking about how. How are we going to battle test this new finishing move that you have chosen? In this way, you're going to place it as the finish to 5 different matches in front of 5 different audiences in 5 different markets for 5 different promotions. And if you're hearing all that and you're thinking to yourself, Mike, why on earth am I going to do that? Here's why. I really do believe that when you're adding something new to your act, whether it's a beat in your entrance, a new character ritual, some cool new high spot, or something as important as your finishing move, you need to test it in front of different audiences and listen to the reaction. And what we're testing for in terms of reaction, we'll get to in just a moment. But let's cover that how piece. Why is it that you're going to test this out in front of 5 different audiences? Because we want to see how different types of people react. And why in 5 different markets, 5 different towns, 5 different states, 5 different regions? Because we want a broad sampling. We don't want to limit our testing to a small geographical area. And why for 5 different promotions? Because each promotion makes their own unique product. They make their own flavor of ice cream in the world of wrestling, so to speak. And you want to test it out in front of the types of audiences attracted to different products, not the same audience attracted to the same product month in and month out. This to me is adequate battle testing, especially for something as important as a move you might become synonymous with for years to come. If you're enjoying this video, please take a quick second for me and leave a like-a-palooza down below. It tells YouTube to share my videos with more people. Thank you. Now you understand how we're going to battle test it. It's the finish to 5 matches in front of 5 crowds in 5 markets for 5 promotions. But what are we testing for? 3 things. Number 1 on this list is consistency. Both consistency of look and consistency of execution. So first, consistency of look. Does this move require heavy modification in order to do it with someone who's inexperienced, in order to do it with someone who is twice your weight? It's important that there's a consistency of look for the recognition factor. If the audience can't recognize it instantly, you'll be robbed of some of the reaction to your finishing move. And there needs to be consistency of execution as well. What does this mean? Look at it this way. In a 2-minute television enhancement match, we can all do our finishing moves and make them look beautiful. But what about when you're 25 minutes deep into a singles match? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty blown up. At that point, can you still execute your move consistently? Or does some of it start to drop off? Does a little bit of its sharpness and polish begin to fade if you're getting gassed in the ring? You really do need to battle test it, not just for consistency of look, but your ability to consistently execute it in matches as well. The second thing we are battle testing for is a little more nuanced of a concept, so pay close attention. We want to battle test your new finishing move to see if it confirms or contradicts your value. And I don't mean what is your value as a human being. I mean, what is your value as a professional wrestler? What do you add to the match? What do you add to the card? What's the value you add to an ensemble, a full locker room, or roster? So if your value is your high-flying skill, your acrobatics, does this finishing move confirm that your skill is that high-flying, are those acrobatics, or does it actually contradict? And I'll give you an example. If the value that you are adding to the show is your high-flying skill, but your finishing move is the figure 4 leg lock, I would argue this actually contradicts your value. Your value is that high-flying. It's the acrobatics, but your finishing move is with both people lying down on the mat. I think that needs to be left for someone whose value is technique, who is submission skill based. Not someone who's a high flyer, not someone who is an aerialist. You need to choose a finishing move that confirms that value to the audience. It doesn't contradict that value. It's the difference between a finish which is confusing and one which is climactic. And the third thing we're going to battle test your finishing move for is peak reaction. And to me, peak reaction means top 5%. And just consider the raw numbers of this for a second. If in your next match, you're only going to be doing 20 moves, well, top 5%, guess what? That means the very top, 1 in 20, 5%. This has to get the absolute peak reaction of anything you are putting on in the ring. So if you have a move in your shine, which is getting a stronger reaction, then you have a mechanical problem. It's about move choice. Or if you have a spot which is getting a hotter reaction than your finish, you have a structural problem. Things are being ordered incorrectly. You need to assure that your finishing move gets a peak reaction. If you plan to put it at the end of a match, in the climactic moment, it has to be worthy of the moment of highest dramatic tension. And that lives where the peak reaction is. Top 5% of the reactions you get for everything in your match. So what's your finishing move? Tell me down below in the comments. Even if you are just training right now, what's the move you are planning to use? Tell me everything down below. And if you want help structuring your matches for bigger pops, better reactions, for getting over in a bigger and more resonant way, check out my book, Toolbox. Building Better Pro Wrestling is available on Amazon.com in print or digital formats, or over on Audible.com, where I read you the audiobook myself. Appearing on screen is that video I talked about a few minutes ago about how to go about selecting your finisher. This video follows neatly behind it. And there's that link to my Patreon. Help me reach my goal this year of 100 patrons. I could really use your support. Thanks so much.